Hey y'all, Billy from Perma Pastures Farm. All right, it's the afternoon. It's time to feed the chickens. Today I want to talk about food inflation. Oh, you just can't wait, can you? It's just how it goes. See this bucket of food? It's basically food scraps, a little bit of lettuce, things that they won't necessarily eat, but things that'll make good compost. There's a little bit of rice in there, a little bit of things they, don't ordinarily want to go after. But hey, you know what I'm trying to point out in this video is I didn't pay for any of that. The lettuce, the onion peels, the green peppers, all that stuff, I didn't pay for. Now, what am I trying to get at? I was just listening to a podcast earlier today with Joel Salatin and Sina McCullough, and they were talking about food inflation. And Joel was talking about, basically even with the model that he has and he uses, that he's not immune to it. Well, nobody is. But especially in terms of, I think the bigger thing that they were trying to get at was food inflation, okay? Because in some ways, like in that greenhouse you see up there, or rather the high tunnel up there in the distance past the bees, which you can probably barely see right now, when you buy materials and stuff, yeah, there's no getting around that kind of inflation. There is, and there are ways to do it. But what I want to talk about today is food inflation. So going back to what I just gave them, these are food scraps that I glean from some of the local restaurants around here. Now, I've said it before, and this isn't a video to brag or anything like that. I've said it before that we do not pay anything for our eggs. We don't pay anything for our meat birds. We pay very little for our pork. In fact, that's only the initial cost. So the $40 that it costs to buy those pigs, we really don't buy much more than that, maybe a little bit of kelp. But really, when it's all said and done, we produce pigs at about 20 cents a pound, if I give you the honest numbers on that. So it enables us to, A, fill up the freezers, do everything we have to do, but it also enables us to be generous with people that need this stuff. Where, it's just as easy to raise 6 pigs as it is 1, at least in my view. So what do we feed the pigs? Same exact thing we feed the chickens. We supplement them with a little bit of, minerals, charcoal. We've covered all that kind of stuff in the past. But in this time where inflation seems to be on the lips of everybody these days, think about one way in which you can get around it. Now, are you going to avoid inflation when you fill up the car? No. You're going to avoid inflation if you go to a restaurant? No. You're going to avoid it with every other aspect of your life? By and large, the answer is no. And also, if you're raising chickens, pork, beef, anything else, and you're tied to that system and you're feeding them any kind of grain that you had to buy, you're subject to inflation. So I'm saying all that to say, folks, we might want to think about some other options here. More than ever, I can't even count the number of people that have hit me up as of late asking, where do I go to get pigs food? Where do I go to get chickens food? Well, folks, I'm not late to this party. We've been at this, and we've been doing it this way for a very long time, for years, in fact. And over those years, did I do it exclusively because I saw these times coming? Partially, yeah. The preparedness side of me says, yeah, it was the thing to do from way back. But it was also a more holistic way, I thought, of raising animals. So I want you to think, I've given people some ideas about where they can go find some of this stuff. You might want to think for yourself. Look at some of I've given some concrete places on Patreon and some of the other places out there. I've said it in interviews that I've done. There are places, many of them out there, folks, that you could easily feed all of your chickens, all of your omnivores easily. And that is one way to hedge your costs, because at the end of the day, no matter how high inflation gets, when it comes to my meat, I'm largely unaffected. Think about that. That's something you want to consider. Also, with that high tunnel up there, like I've gotten from my friends at Deep South Homestead, Miss Wanda and Danny. They are largely, because of what I've learned from them, they've given that knowledge to us. And now we've seen the light a long time ago. It's just we didn't have the finances to do it to the extent that we wished. But that is another way of hedging your food costs. Like I said, at the end of the day, there's things that you're just not going to avoid. If you go out and buy a fence like this these days, yeah, you're going to pay for the inflation. This is at least a decade old here, and I keep patching it and doing what I have to do to make it work. So yeah, there are ways to get around inflation in terms of other things, but when it comes to raising your animals, when it comes to putting this meat in your freezer or eggs on your counter or whatever the case may be, pigs, it doesn't matter. There are ways to get around it, and this is one of the ways. In fact, I mean, just look at how much they love this. You know, this is better. I could take, and I've done it before, I could take store-bought feed, throw it out there, and take some of this stuff, put it out here, and find out. They're going to eat them both, but I promise you, they're going to eat this first. So not only is it more holistic, is it better for your animals, the whole 9 yards, is saving money at a time in America, and I dare say the world, when everybody has more time than money. So that's when systems like this chicken tractor on steroids, the way we raise our pigs up in these mountains, that's when all those things really start to make sense. And as of late, a lot more people are hitting me up about how to do it. So folks, just food for thought today. Not beating anybody over the head, and it's certainly not a, hey, I'm doing this right and I'm bragging. It's nothing like that. I'm just encouraging you, especially in these times, because it's only going to get higher and harder. Consider those other options. Till next time, this is Billy for Perma Pastures Farm, where permaculture is my passion. And right here, that's the reasons why. We'll see y'all next time.